welcome back to my impression on Dragon Quest XI. It finally has been released, even though I did get the game a week before its official release. Because of good weather and an incredible amount of working more hours at work, I didn't really play it. Now, I had 2 days off from work this week, and I played a lot, from 6 hours to now 28 freaking hours. Holy shit. And I can finally create my verdict. Now, the last Dragon Quest game, a real RPG that I played, was Dragon Quest VIII on the PlayStation 2. And to be honest, in a lot of ways, Dragon Quest XI reminds me of Dragon Quest VIII. It kind of plays out exactly the same, but it has improved over time. And don't get me wrong, this is basically the biggest compliment I could give to a Japanese RPG nowadays. It reminds me of the good old RPGs from PS1 and PS2, and of course also like Super Nintendo. And even though its story is kind of basic, it's really more about the smaller stories that you'll see and experience overall. Every town, every environment pretty much have their own NPCs, their own problems, and their own storylines. And if you put them all together, it is a pretty good storyline that takes you a long ass time to complete and is actually really interesting. It's not really about, you know, something grand. It's just you are the Luminaire. You are pretty much the hero that has to defeat the Dark One. I mean, even its name, the Dark One, is pretty simple in design, but again, executed in a very good and interesting way. What I really like about Dragon Quest XI compared to all the other RPGs nowadays is that you actually have a world map. You have a traditional world map where you get a little boat and you probably get a ship. I'm not at that point at the moment. You probably get a ship, and the world map itself is really detailed. And if you go inside the world itself, it is large. It is really, really, really big compared to even like Final Fantasy 15. I have to admit, the game feels bigger than Final Fantasy 15, yet it's not really open world. But its areas are just so expansive, so big, you really feel that you are exploring a world instead of just exploring a small part of the world, a region. You're exploring a huge world, and like a lot of environments have different pathways to go, and some border to another city, some border to something else. And especially when you get your ship, you can actually go around the world where in its storyline you don't need to go, and you can actually explore there. So even though Dragon Quest XI is not really an open world, it feels a lot bigger and a lot more open than the so-called open world games. And I truly enjoy that, just exploring the world, and holy damn, its graphics are, in my opinion, mind-blowing for an RPG. If you consider like Final Fantasy 15 is like the best looking RPG nowadays, well, to be honest, Ni no Kuni 2 kind of looks better in my opinion. But for the bigger RPGs, Final Fantasy 15 is like the RPG. Dragon Quest XI, in my opinion, looks a lot better. Not because it has more polygons on screen or it's more crisp or whatever, it definitely isn't. It's about the environments. They are so incredibly good looking. You'll have, of course, wooden areas, plain areas, sand areas, just your typical type of RPG, but it has done in such a great way. Also, there are so many cities and towns and little establishments that you will explore and you can do stuff in. It just blows my mind how Final Fantasy 15 only has one fucking city. Really? It really boggles my mind why they have done that. And don't get me wrong, the cities in Dragon Quest XI are actually more detailed than in pretty much any RPG I've ever played, even The Witcher 3. Almost every house you can go into and they are fully detailed, fully furnitured. the citizens actually do stuff. They walk around, they eat, they work. It really feels like a breathing world that you're in. Instead of just, oh, there's another city, you can buy equipment and I'll be on my way. No, you really want to explore every nook and cranny in this world. You really want to see how the culture is. And that is also something that I commend them so much. Every city, every town is different. You have medieval, you have Asian, you have French, you have Italian. Every town is different, and that is just wow. When you think about there are so many towns and cities in the game. So the graphics, in my opinion, are just wow. Holy shit. Wow. For an RPG, for a Japanese RPG, this is what I wanted the genre to go. From PS2 to PS3 to now, this is what I wanted in a modern RPG. Having big 3D open worlds, huge environments, beautiful landscapes, nice story. That's what I wanted, and I'm so happy that like Ni no Kuni and now Dragon Quest all do that when Final Fantasy 15 failed miserably. And I really hope that Dragon Quest, sells a lot, especially in the West, and that Square Enix and all the other developers are like, hey, people really want traditional RPGs and not just the innovative, flashy, really simple and boring battle systems like Final Fantasy, really. And talking about battle systems, it is a traditional Japanese turn-based RPG. But it's a lot fluid than most older RPGs. You have an option to auto attack, sort of, with all your characters. Even the character you play itself. You could basically let the NPC play the entire game for you. Now, of course, that is no fun, but the game is made in mind that you at least let your side characters play out automatically. And I have to admit, they are pretty smart. They really do stuff. If a character is almost dead, they're going to heal them. If a enemy has a weakness against fire, they will use fire attacks. But you do have the option to manually, select your spell or your attack for every character that you can have in battle. You can have up to 4 characters. But I have to admit, because the 3 other characters do everything automatically, the flow of the battle is just click really fast. And that's what annoys me a lot from, modern Japanese RPGs. They are so slow. You have to do trillions of damage and, defeat their shields and then finally get to do some damage. This is just really traditional. A couple of damage, you have a couple of health, you just do like 30 damage, 40 damage, 10 damage. You don't do millions of damage, you don't have millions of HP. Just your traditional RPG turn-based system, and I freaking love it. It is done really, really well. Now onto its characters. Its characters are a lot of fun. My favorite is of course Jade, because she has boobs. Of course. No, but seriously, Jade and Eric are definitely my favorite, but I really like Veronica. Veronica is a mage that's actually grown up, but because of a curse, because of a demon, took her health. I think I'm now spoiling stuff. Holy shit, that's not really good. I'm not gonna say anything. But Veronica is a pretty good character. And I like the characters overall. They are really enjoyable, and as any other RPG, from the start, you're like, what the hell are they? What are they doing here? What is their place in the storyline? And when you progress its story, you finally understand like, hey, this connects to each other. This is why this character is in the party. This is why, this happens. So it's really, really thought out, and I really enjoy the characters. One little thing I do want to say though, is its music is good. Pretty good, really good. But especially in cities and towns, they almost have the same music. That kind of annoys me. If I walk into a Japanese-ish town and you'll still get the same music, I'm like, why? Also, that what I kind of have like a little bit, I actually love it a lot, why am I saying a little bit, is the fun-sized forge. It's actually the same as the alchemy pot in Dragon Quest VIII, and I think in all the Dragon Quest games you have sort of a create your gear system. But here it's more like a mini game where you actually have to bash and create your weapons. And there's a small bar. If you go above that small bar, then your gear will be a failure and it will just be a normal gear. If you actually go inside that small bar, your weapon is good, is better. But if you go just right perfectly in the middle, you'll get a perfect gear and weapon, and you can up to +3, making it a lot stronger. And overall, Dragon Quest XI is fucking awesome. It is really what Japanese RPGs should have been and should be nowadays. This is from PS1, PS2, Super Nintendo to modern systems. This is how RPGs should have transitioned in. This is what they should be, and not Final Fantasy 15. And they probably will fuck up Final Fantasy 7 Remake too, because it's also a flashy battle system that nobody wants. I just want my traditional turn-based system. So leave it in the comments below if you're actually still watching, because this is a pretty long video. I highly apologize for that. Are you playing Dragon Quest XI? Yes or no? And how are you liking it? Yes or no? Leave it in the comments below. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And like always, you're gonna see me next time. That's probably streaming Dragon Quest XI.